So there are different types of audits. The first one is a CP 2000 letter. That's really not an audit. They have a matching program. They're about a year, year and a half behind on this. And what they do is they compare what you've reported on the 1040 versus what their computer comes up with. And if there's a discrepancy, they'll send you out a CP 2000 and saying, hey, what's going on? They don't send them out if you're reporting more. They only send them out if you're reporting less. And they're very helpful. They will calculate what they think you should owe, and if you agree, just sign it and send the money in. And that should be the end of it. So that's fairly low stress. The next one on the level of stress is a correspondence audit. Because the IRS is so short-staffed, about 88% of their audits now are correspondence audits. And what they'll do is they'll send you a letter saying, please send in your documentation substantiating this deduction. A couple things. One, never, ever, ever send original copies because there are tends to lose things. And two, always send correspondence to the IRS by certified mail because, again, it might get lost, it might end up sitting in the inbox, you never know. But you want to have proof that you complied. And again, if there's no major other problems, that's the end of it. The next one on the level of stress is a office audit or a desk audit. Now that is not so stressful because usually they've picked out certain things. Like I had a client that I had to represent on our desk audit. It was a charitable audit, a charitable deduction, and I had to provide them with documentation that they actually did make this deduction. And again, then they will issue a report that you can dispute or have your client sign off and pay the money. Like I say, normally they go after people they think are going to owe money. They don't go after people they think are going to get refunds. But sometimes it ends up happening that they screw up and you actually get a refund. Now, the field audit, here's where the stress level really goes, because they only assign experienced auditors to that. And they only do field audits if they think you're going to collect some money off them, usually at least a couple $1,000s. So this is the one you really want to prepare for. And what you do is you go in and meet with them. So the first thing is, where are you going to meet? Should you meet at your home? No. The reason for that, for example, if you live in a really expensive house on Lake Washington, and yet your only income on your income tax is your $5,000 from your Amway business, they will suspect that you are not reporting all your income. Also, one of my strategies is to leave stuff at home. Say, when they ask, well, I forgot I left at home. And if you're at home, it's kind of hard to use that excuse. Should you meet at your office if you're a small businessman? No. You don't want your blabbermouth employees being exposed to the auditor. You don't want the auditor noticing you just bought some really expensive furniture or equipment and might be wondering where you got the money. I would recommend either, if you have a representative, or you can meet at their office, or you can meet the IRS office. I would recommend the IRS office, one, because they might even get embarrassed because of their technology or they've lost stuff and put them on the defensive. So I always like to meet at the office of the IRS. Now, before you meet, what you want to do, this is serious business. I think of it, it's like a game, but it's not a game in the sense of being an enjoyable pastime. It's a game in the sense of there's strategy, there's a winner and loser. And so you want to know as much about your opponent as you possibly can. So you want to know, you want to find out what the auditor's going to look for. You can actually get audit checklists off the internet to find out what they're going to be looking for so you can prepare. You want to know your taxpayer rights, and I've passed out some of the taxpayer rights, because if nothing else, the IRS is a quintessential bureaucracy. So they've got rules and regulations they have to follow, and you want to make sure that they're following them, because you want to be in a position of, if you have to appeal, you can put some hurt on them in terms of where they weren't following the rules and make them look bad. And also, if you're a small business person, they have what's known as audit guides. For example, if you're a daycare, or you have a construction company, they actually tell you what they're going to be looking for in an audit. So again, you want to be prepared. If I were going to be going to a field audit, the first thing I would assume is they're going to ask for my bank statements. Because more likely than not, they're looking for underreported income. And I want to make sure that I can account for every deposit on that bank statement, because they assume, unless proven otherwise, that deposit is income. If you get a loan from a bank, if you get an inheritance, or even if you just transfer money from one account to the other, you want to be able to prove that that money is not income. So that's really important. So now we come to, okay, looking at it from a game standpoint, what are the objectives with the IRS? The first thing is to collect as much money as possible. And the secondly is to get this done as quickly as possible. One thing that's not really appreciated is that IRS agents are insanely overworked. So what I try to do is that I try to chat them up a little bit and find out their workload, and I'm thinking, oh gee, if you've got 40 or 50 returns, how can I make your life more difficult? Can I drag this thing? Can I really string this out or not? So you want to find out what their objectives are. And I can tell you it's to collect as much money as possible and get it done as soon as possible. So you want to be what I would call a pleasant and polite pain in the ass. You want to let them know that you're not going to just be intimidated by them. You want to challenge them. Okay, your objective is to pay as little tax as possible. If you get what's known as a no-change audit, you want to sign it as quickly as possible, get out of there as quickly as possible, because they haven't found anything. In rare occasions, you may get a refund. The most important thing is to limit the audit. You don't want to provide them more documents than they ask for. In fact, you only want to provide them what they're asking for. You don't want to provide them. If they're asking for prior year returns and it's not on the audit, don't provide it. You can say, I left it at home. You want to make it difficult for them. You don't want to give them documents related to the audit. So, how to behave in an audit. Again, say as little as possible. The correct answers are yes, no, I'm not sure, I'll have to look it up. Or why are you asking this question? How does it relate to the audit? Be polite, like I say, be a polite Peter. Become as knowledgeable as possible about what you're getting yourself into. Ask for code citations. I mean, make them work. Don't just roll over. If you really want to stress them out, ask that you want to get a copy of their audit books, so that if you need to go to appeals, you can see what they were doing. So you try to put them subtly on the defensive. And most importantly, do not chat or get folksy with the IRS. And the reason why is because you don't know who you're dealing with. For example, this person may have a true and genuine concern for your well-being. A real mensch, a veritable saint. Someone who could easily be mistaken for a personal assistant to Mother Teresa. Or, on the other hand, this person might be a humorless, nitpicky, emotionally constipated, protoplasmic lump, some goofus McDoofus who's going to take sadistic pleasure in watching you squirm as you try to explain why you were trying to claim your pets, Hercules and Kitty, on your tax return as dependents, or why you were trying to deduct Hercules dog food as a security expense for your home office. I would rather cuddle with a crocodile than get folksy with the IRS. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Well, for example, there was a case where this one guy was being audited. He was a very sharp dresser. He took pride in his appearance. And the auditor complimented him on very good sense of style, very sharp dresser. He says, yes, it's really important that I look good for work. In fact, I always deduct my clothing expense on my tax return. Always. And the auditor said, well, that's interesting. You know, there's pretty strict regulations on what you can deduct as clothing. So, long story short, he basically had to, they opened up a couple other year returns. They disallowed that. He ended up owing a couple extra $1,000 simply because he opened his big mouth. So, keep your mouth shut. Don't give them any initiative. You should have a don't ask, don't tell policy. If they don't ask, you don't tell. Now, should you slow down the audit? Weirdly. There are some advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantages are that you might incur more penalties and interest because it's taking so long. The real danger is that if you've got something really serious to hide, you don't necessarily want to give them more time to stumble on it. However, there are a lot of advantages to stringing it out. For example, they only have 3 years to audit your return and assess penalties and extra taxes. And usually they're about a year and a half behind, so they only have about a year and a half to do this. And if they were to let that lapse, it certainly would not be a career-enhancing move for the examiner or his boss. So they will try to get you extended. The auditor might quit, transfer, retire, get fired, and then they dump it on somebody else. Then this new person might be inexperienced, might have a bad attitude because he's had this extra work dumped on him, and he may just do a half-ass or maybe even a no-ass job on the audit. Even better, the IRS could lose his file. Been known to happen. Now, again, they've got a time limit, and it's certainly at least embarrassing for them to fess up that they can't find the file, in which case you become really indignant, like, well, do you understand how long it took me to get that information together? Now, I'm not going to provide it, you need to find it, that kind of thing. Which would also set you up for making them reluctant to go to appeals because of their incompetence.